busy day.
Heather, do you want me to take one, do a quick phone call?
Sure.
Okay, good morning, everyone. It is 10:30, and we will be going into our public hearing in just a minute or so, but I do want everybody to know that this meeting is being recorded, so whatever is said or done will be showing up on the camera, and anyone can have a look at it after the meeting is finished and into the future. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware of that before we started this morning. So with that, I believe we have a resolution to move into our public hearing for this dangerous dog event.
Resolved that the regular meeting be adjourned and a public hearing be opened for animal control.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Spicer seconds. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And I should let everybody in the audience know that we have two councillors that are missing today. Both of them couldn't be here, and also Councillor Horvis did declare a conflict, and it's a perceived conflict, and he is not going to be with us this morning. So that is for everybody's information. And we'll just wait for a minute for Tyler to come back in, because I think he's going to go over the animal control report.
Yes, Madam Mayor, one of the complainants that was registered to speak, it was supposed to be on Zoom, and we're waiting for that person, so Tyler's just verified if that person is having trouble connecting on Zoom or not. In the meantime, if you would like, I can sort of start off. If you
Sure, go right ahead, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Today we're here to deal with a public hearing related to designation of dangerous dogs due to an event that occurred. And what we have is an animal control report, and with perfect timing, we have Tyler coming in to speak to that. Would you like me to start with the animal control report, Tyler?
I'll just give you a quick summary prior to us going into the details, because I know the animal control report and the witnesses are kind of lengthy, so I'll just kind of sum things up and then we can go into the next points. So on March 6th, which was this past Thursday at approximately 1:30 p.m., I received a phone call from Harry Bolton and his wife Bonnie, stating that they were out for a walk in Nico near the rail line tracks and were attacked by a group of dogs. When I got into more details with Harry, he stated that there was, Harry's technology of roughly 20 dogs at the time that were out and attacked him and his vehicle and attacked another dog that was walking just south of him on the same rail line, which the dog's name is Mac, and he belongs to another resident in Legal. So during that conversation with Harry, he stated that he was on his way to drop his dog off at the vet and then head to the hospital that was hand treated. Harry also let me know that Matt, the other dog that was attacked, was on his way to the vet and in his owner's care. So at approximately 3 p.m. that same day, so an hour and a half later, I attended the property, which was 33 West Avenue, alongside with two RCMP members and our animal control officer. We collectively went to the house where Nate Metzen lives at 33 Railway Ave West. Upon arrival, we knocked at the door, and Nate did come out and speak with us. I gave him a heads up and explained why we were there, and then basically just had Nate kind of run me through what happened to the best of his recount of his memory of what happened earlier that day. Nate explained that he was outside at the time of the event. Nate stated that he was in his hammock, which is outside, but also it's in the dog run. Nate was in the pen, in the hammock in the pen, and when this event happened, Nate ran out as fast as he could, and in Nate's perspective at that time, when he got out, he did notice his dogs were all loose, and they were outside of the pen on public piece of property, which is next to him, and they were attacking a dog named Mac. He did, if I recall, stated that he's seen a gentleman down the trail further north, but the dogs were at the time going towards Mac and attacking him, and Nate went out and tried to get the dogs off and round them up, and ultimately he did retrieve his dogs. He had to go on his quad and go and get the dogs, and ultimately got the dogs back in the pen. So that was Nate's recollection of the events. So after that conversation, I let Nate know that we were gonna go and look around the area and kind of get a better idea of what happened and, you know, kind of document the scene and get an idea, you know, of the lay of the land. Nate walked us through the pen, so we went through the dog pen, and basically at that point asked Nate, okay, we'll be good to go on our own. Nate went back in the house and we looked at the whole area, documented it, and looked around down the railroad line and documented the scene. So when we were walking around the area, there was two spots, one just north, and this is on the rail line where the events took place, but just north of Nate's pen, there was, where the scene was at one of the attacks, there was a pretty decent sized pool of blood with blood splatter around. After looking at that, we went south down this rail line to the actual, right at the road, and there was another, you can tell there was a separate event where there was another attack, there was another pool of blood there. So after looking at that scene, I then phoned Harry Bolton back and asked him again, just give me another update on the events so I can hear it one more time. Again, he stated the same thing, he got attacked, and the dogs then went and attacked the next dog. So basically, with the two attacks and the fact that Harry got bit, I let Nate know that we would be seizing all the dogs that were involved, which was obviously a hard conversation, but ultimately we made the decision to seize the animals. After some conversation, Nate did agree to help us load these animals up. So over the next hour or so, Nate was physically loading the dogs and helping us get all the dogs in there. From what I understand, there was 12 dogs that were outside at the time that were involved or outside of the pen, so we seized all 12 dogs. After the dogs left the property, I then went and spoke with Nate again at length inside of his house, along with the RCP and animal control were with me as well. And I basically just talked through the scenario and, you know, explained how the bylaw works and what the next few days look like. And I explained that we have a council meeting on Tuesday, and this will be coming in front of council for ultimately the decision and to walk through the bylaw. Nate provided me with all the vaccination records of all the dogs, all the rabies vaccinations, which were all completed in October of 2024. So I physically had those documents, and then since that time, which was this past Thursday, I had several conversations with Nate on the phone. I spoke with Harry and also Jason, who is the owner of the other dog that got attacked. So that's basically the summary of the event itself. And with that, we have witness statements from Harry Bolton, who owns the beagle who was attacked. We have a witness statement from Jason Shore, who owns the other dog, Mac, who was attacked. And then we have Nate's statement as well. And I do want to note that since the agenda was published, Nate did provide me with an updated statement that he would like to share. And also since the agenda was made public, we also received another letter of support from another resident for Nate. We have a couple letters of support for him. And then my last note, one of the letters of support was a typo on there, and it was actually the vaccination record, and it should have been Lori Million's statement, so I have that brief statement with me.
We have it updated.
Okay, you have it updated, okay, perfect. So that's the summary of the event. So if we want to go through the animal control report, we can walk them through the pictures of the event, or we can go into more so statements.
I think maybe, Madam Mayor, how would you like to proceed? Would you like to go with maybe the statements first, or would you like us to go through the report?
I think we should go through the report first, and then we'll do the statements.
So the report was created with animal control as an animal complaint, and as part of that, let me just zoom out a little bit more so that everyone can see it. So March 6th at 22, a complaint was received about the dog attack, or multiple dogs attack. The writer responded to it along with Tyler and two officers from the RCMP by 3 p.m. The writer also asked for a livestock trailer on scene to load the dogs up. a group of officers met with the owner of the dogs at the main house, and the side story was explained, and was very helpful in getting all that information, as Tyler's explained. Based on the story by the owner and the victim's story, the only difference is the way that the gate was opened was the difference that was noted by them. And the dogs were loaded up in the trailer and left the property at 4:23 p.m. and unloaded at 5:25 p.m. And so from there, I'll let you go on, Tyler, and explain the pictures
Yeah.
and so forth.
So, and again, I wasn't physically there when this event took place, but after looking around the area and speaking with Nate, who owns the dogs, my opinion was it was pretty clear that the gate was a factor here. The gate wasn't secured correctly. And the dogs ultimately got through that gate once one dog got through them. And just to give council a heads up, the types of dogs we are dealing with right now, I don't know the specific breed, but Nate is from up north, he's from the Yukon, and they're sled dogs. So he races these dogs and has raced them in the past, and that's kind of his background history, is he's a sled racer. So these dogs, they're the same breed, for far as I can see. So the mentality, from what I'm understanding with these dogs, is once one kind of leads, the rest of them are going to follow. So when one dog got out, the rest of them followed, and they all were out and about. So if you scroll down, Deepak, to the very bottom.
Just before I go any further, I think we need to explain, Tyler, for the public record, these dogs are allowed to be on this site for this many dogs.
Correct. So as per our zoning bylaw and what Nate is zoned there at this location, he's zoned M, which allows him to have a kennel license. And as of right now, Nate does have a current license, an active license with the municipality. So the very last picture, and these are just pictures of the inside of the pen, and how the kind of lay of the land is. But the last picture is the map that will really show, and again, that's the back gate where the dogs escaped from. Just so council is aware.
And so you might want to explain where they came out from?
So that gate, so right now that picture's taken, you're standing inside the pen. The way that gate is constructed is whatever is securing it, if you were to unsecure it, the gate swings open from the left down. So whatever was there, the gate was kind of not secured correctly, and the dog, I guess one dog got through and pushed it open, and then the rest of them got through. Is best my understanding.
I have a question. So are there two gates? Because if I look at the first pictures.
There are two gates, yes.
Okay.
But the
It looks
dogs
like
that
there
escaped
is,
through the
yeah,
back.
okay.
Yeah. So this is one of the quote unquote scenes where the one dog was attacked. So that's the first attack place.
And this is the back gate,
That's
as
the
you
back
can
gate.
see. Yeah. And that's the second attack spot for the
Correct.
dogs. And then we finally get to the map.
Right, so where the red point is, that's where the pen, that's where the quote unquote pen is. Where the first attack took place is the top yellow, which is just north of Nate's property and on the rail line. So that's where, as per Harry Bolton's statement, Harry was walking his dog, his beagle, on a leash with Mac, who belongs to somebody else, off leash. They were walking, they passed Nate's pen. Nate, as far as I can understand, both parties did see one another at the time they walked by. Harry continued to walk by the pen, and I don't know exactly where Mac was at the time. It's explained from one side that this Mac dog was around the pen itself. As they went further, where the top yellow dot is, triangle, that is where Harry basically instantly seen about 6 or 7, 8 dogs on his beagle and swarming his dog and attacking his beagle that was on a leash. Harry then went to go try to take his dog and physically remove it, while he had the 6 or 7 or whatever number of dogs, we can't confirm. Attacking the beagle, Harry got his dog up and his hand was bit in that meantime. And then from that point on, the dogs went south, which is where the second triangle is, and was mauling this Mac dog who took the blunt of this quote unquote dog attack. So Harry's dog, which is a beagle, suffered some punctures. Mac, on the other hand, is the larger breed dog, and he suffered many bites, which we will see. And then, yeah, Harry goes on to tell me how he basically tried to escape this scenario when Nate was out there trying to get the dogs back at roughly that time.
Okay.
So, Madam Mayor, so that covers that.
Yeah,
Some of the other additional information that was provided that we can cover and then we can go to statements was there was the veterinarian reports for the 2 dogs that have been provided, as well as statements from the owners of the other 2 dogs, as well as a statement from the owner of the 12 dogs. We also have pictures of some of those statements, and we have a vaccine report as well from the owner of the 12 dogs stating, that the dogs have been vaccinated so that we don't have to do the testing for rabies or any of those things. That also comes in when there's a dog attack. And then there are various letters of support. So at this point, Madam Mayor, if you like, you can move forward with statements from the complainants and then go to
yes, I think that's what we'll do, is we'll listen to the statements from the complainants, and then we will go to the dog owner's statement, and we will, and just so everybody knows, and I don't know if you can see it up on the screen, we do have copies of all the letters of support, and we also have the statements from Mr. Bolton, Mr. Shore, and Mr. Metzen. So first of all, I'm going to ask Mr. Bolton if he would like to come forward and state anything else on this topic.
You can come sit.
Or sit there or to the podium, either or is fine.
Okay.
So this is for the Kaiser
Yeah,
statement.
I don't agree.
Okay.
Okay, couple things got slightly a little bit off.
Okay.
There were not 12 dogs, they were all.
I don't have 20 dogs.
Must have been, because there wasn't no 12 dogs that attacked me.
I don't have 20 dogs.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there. You will have an opportunity, and I understand
Okay.
what you're saying, but we're going to listen to Mr.
Okay.
Bolton, and you'll have an opportunity to speak once he's
Let me
done.
just explain something. This is a public hearing. As a part of the public hearing, complainants will get a chance to talk. You'll get a chance for rebuttal. At that point, you can make your statements.
Okay.
And so this is the opportunity for only the complainant to be heard, and we have to follow the quorum.
Okay, I was walking by, Matt was with me, he never went along his kennel. He walked in the ditch, and I called him, I hurried by, because I know all Nate's dogs are getting really riled up. So we hurried up and we went till we were out of sight of the dogs. So I was pulling my phone out to text Nate that I have his dog with me and he's coming for a walk. And before I could even do that, all these dogs come running from the south. They didn't come out that back gate. They came around the yard and they came running down the trail, and I was on the Trans-Canada Trail, which used to be the railhead. And I was on private property, and all these dogs come circling like wolves. A few of them started nipping, and then when one grabbed my dog, more started biting, and as they're biting, I tried to pick her up, and I got bitten on the hand, and that dog caused, I was bleeding. That's the first sight. All that blood, that's my blood. And I was screaming for help, and there was nothing. I had nothing to do. I pulled my dog up. There was 3 dogs biting, pulling my dog out of my arms, tearing her. I had to let her down, and I was swinging to try and save her. And that's when Matt, he was with me, he was walking in front of me, he took off and he went to the trail, and then all the dogs followed him to Nate's, to the entrance of the trail, to the highway. That's what saved me, because there was all the dogs, they come, and they were around, and they were all just attacking. And even though they all followed Matt, some of them were coming back towards me, and they were going, and they'd look, because then they were all fighting with that Mac dog. I looked, and I couldn't even see Mac. There were so many dogs on him trying to tear, and I seen Nate trying to stop him, and he couldn't control them. I seen them pull a couple of dogs off, but they just come back on and they were just staring at him. I had to go my way. I carried my dog and I ran to the elevator steps. So I'd have a back against me with a couple of railings because there was still dogs running around. And in the meantime, Jason, I phoned him before I landed and I told him, come get your dog, so he did that. And then Jason phoned me, I says, come pick me up with your truck. I says, I can't get out of here because there's still dogs running around loose and they're aggressive. They get in like a frenzy. And as far as like, since he's been there with his dogs from the first day, through my yard and other neighbors' yards, there's sometimes 2 or 3. I take my dog out at 10 o'clock at night and there were 2 dogs run by me at 10 o'clock. Just a shock. Sometimes there's 3 or 4. One day I walked by his driveway, it was in the evening at 5 o'clock, it was end of August, just before I had my first dog attack. And there was 3 of his dogs started that circling and one nipped my dog on the back. And I was yelling, hey, get out of here, get out. And they come out and he says, your dog bites. And he says, my dogs are professionally trained, they don't bite. And they don't. Okay, well I could prove it now. And then he runs down the trail, sometimes they're on front of the quad and that. We go down the trail, I've seen this a couple of times now, where he goes with his quad 30 miles an hour, the dogs are all loose, running down the trail 100, 200 yards behind him, just chasing dust. They go north all the way up to where almost Poplar Park is on Road 88, and then he comes back, runs them all back, and I see him go south through Lebo. And with these dogs, if there's another animal, I can see how aggressive they are. They don't stop. If they think it's a threat, that's what they do. And there's people like just south of Lebo, they got little kids, and they're within 100 feet of there, like a couple little kids, and they have a lab dog, and same with the other, a mile north, they have dogs on both sides. And if they think it's a threat, I believe that they would attack. They think it's a threat. They had no reason to come after me and my dog. They just started, I had about 10 seconds before they started nipping. Once they got the blood, like they tore my dog, most of that dog, my dog wasn't bleeding, she was torn, it wasn't much, but I was pouring blood and it was down my clothes. And the officer, when I went to the station, she's got her body cam, I didn't take no pictures, my clothes, my jacket, my sweats, even in my shoes I had blood. I spilled a lot of blood there. On that first site, that was all my blood from that. Then I had to go to the hospital for treatment. Tetanus shots and glued my hands up and must have got a tendon or something, my fingers. Got trouble and I still have swelling and bruising. So if it was mine, I would say, do not let those dogs back there. I don't care what kind of thing he has. If somebody goes there, it could happen again. I talked with one of my neighbors, she goes down there, she's got a 3-year-old and 2 dogs, and she said she's seen a couple of those dogs jump the fence and come there, but they didn't attack. They came around, she's got 2 big Samoyeds, because she goes north of things. She went in the summertime, I didn't know that, I seen her go there, but she said a couple of her dogs jumped over and they didn't attack because she's got big dogs. So they're less likely, I guess, if there's only 2 or 3. But when you get how many, I know there was a lot of dogs came, and when they attack, there's no stopping them. They get in a frenzy, and there was no stopping them. So that's what I have to say. So if you have any more questions?
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Mr. Bolton, and I'm just going to open it up to see if council does have any questions, and then we're going to move on. So, council, any questions at this point in time for Mr. Bolton?
I'll tell you, it's very traumatizing, because someone was killed last week by Portage Prairie towards Brandon on 5 dogs. Can you imagine having, say, 15? And on that Mac dog, there had to be 12 or 15 dogs biting on that Mac. He was down. He's a big dog, and they were just trying to tear him apart from what I could see. And Buddy looks at the pictures. And another thing, I was attacked with another dog when we walked. Was first week of September, September 3rd. Dog bit my dog by the head, a bulldog, and I was beating on it with the leash to try and let it go. cost me another $522, and now it costs me $1,600. What do I get? Nothing. So it's cost me about $2,100 since September. And it's just like, it's just not fair. There's no
Okay.
repercussions. I get nothing back.
Okay, I would like to thank you for your statement and everything, and I believe that is Mr. Shore that is on Zoom with
Okay.
us, so I'm going to ask him to give his statement, and we'll try and keep this process going and see where it ends up with us, for us today. So, Mr. Shore, are you on Zoom with us right now? If you want to unmute, you can give your statement, please.
I'm trying.
There.
It's my first time with Zoom, I'm sorry.
That's okay, not a problem. Go right ahead. We can see you and we can hear you, so if you want to provide your statement, go right ahead.
Well, I guess I was listening to most of what Harry had to say, and you know, it started off about the same way. I was at home for a bit, and Mac was outside on his on his proximity collar, but Harry's allowed to take him for a walk anytime he likes. His dog and Mac are very good friends, and he took him for a walk. And I didn't even know about that. My first knowledge of what was going on was when I got a panic call from Harry saying that there was a dog attack. And I only got about maybe 10 seconds worth of phone call, and the phone got knocked out of his hand and I lost signal. I rushed out the door and sprinted down the street, and I seen Nate standing there holding onto Mac's neck. And his dogs were still nipping at him, but he was doing as best as he could to keep it not happening. And I just said sorry because Mac was off the yard. I didn't know why. And he said, I don't think it's really Mac's fault. So I pulled Mac away and kept the dogs away from him. And Mac wanted to go back home, so I sprinted behind him back home, keeping the dogs off of him. He got to the door before I did, and one of the dogs attacked him right at my front door. So I soccer kicked the dog, got him off my dog, and got Mac inside. I rushed, and I got more panic calls from Harry, so I grabbed the keys to the old truck and rushed over there and got the other dogs away from him, got him in the truck, got him back to his place, and then we got together and jumped in the truck, or in his car, and went to the vet and the RCMP in the hospital. When I made it back there with the truck, the dogs were still attacking Harry, and I didn't know what to do. Just like I'd seen Mac and he looked bad. I didn't get a close look. When I came back and went to deal with Mac, it was heartbreaking. It's actually hard to see from the sewn up pictures just how bad it was. But let me show you right now. Look at that. What if that were a child? What if that were your child? With $2,500 in vet bills, hours in surgery just to suture up all the slashes. They were trying to kill him. And realistically, I don't think that a fact like that has any place in our community. This is absurd. And since then, I've gotten no apology, no attempt to help, nothing from Nate, not a single word. He just goes on living his life. Meanwhile, I spend an hour to an hour and a half cleaning his wounds, giving him medication, taking care of him just for these wounds. I can't take him for a walk because he's scared to go outside. can't take him for a walk because he can barely walk. This is ridiculous. I don't know why we're even considering keeping these dogs around. But that's what I have to say on the matter. And, leave it to you now.
Thank you very much. If you want to stay on Zoom, you're more than welcome to, and you can listen to what else transpires here in the council chamber this morning. So I'm just going to ask council, I'm just going to ask council if they have any questions for you on this. No, everyone is saying not at this time. So we're going to move on. Thank you very much, and hopefully all works out for everybody. Now, I know that there are some people here that are not registered to present today, but I will ask, not on Nate's side, but on the other side, if there is someone who wants to speak, now would be your opportunity to come forward. If you want to just come forward and state your name for the record, please.
My name is Kim Wright. I live just down the street.
You can have a seat, Kim.
I know Jason, I know Harry and Bonnie very well. I myself have taken my 2 dogs and walked down that trail many times with Mac, and I've walked with Rebel as well. And every time you go past that kennel, those dogs are escalated. How they got out, I have no idea. The back half of that kennel, they're usually tied up. But for them to get out, and I didn't realize there was a back gate. That could be anybody. A lot of people walk their dogs down there with their children. I have a 100-year-old dog, and if he was attacked, he probably would not have survived that. And if it wasn't for Mac, I don't know if Harry would have survived that attack. Mac took the blunt of it, and I do believe that Mac was probably trying to run away. You know, many times I've walked down that with Jason, Mac, and my 2 dogs. And my younger dog has also got a shock collar on him, so he stays in the yard. It's only off when we go down that trail, and those dogs are always very escalated. And unfortunately, this time it was Harry, Rebel, and Mac, and they got attacked. It could have been anybody in the neighborhood. It's a public trail. We are allowed to walk there. It's public property, and that should never have happened. And I don't know what's going to happen with those dogs, but if they're moved somewhere else or whatever happens, it's just going to be somebody else's problem, and it could happen again. In my eyes, if you can't, as an owner, if you can't control your dogs, then you shouldn't have them. I've seen Mac, I took care of Mac on the weekend. I was off of work and Jason had to work, and I'm just, I'm devastated. That dog spends a lot of time at my place too, and he's a sweetheart. Not a mean bone in that dog's body. He did not deserve this. Nobody does. Whether it be Mac or somebody else's dogs in the neighborhood, nobody deserves that. And you should be able to control your own animals. I don't have much else to say.
Okay, thank you for coming forward, Kim. Anybody else before I call Nate up? Okay, Nate, if you want to come forward and give us your
I'll read it.
information.
Don't pass out. I can't speak for you right now. That's my autism. Okay, I'll read the full statement. Also, Harry, since you have still not gotten it, my pronouns are he, him. Thank you. Okay, dear council, for those who do not know me, my name is Nate Mauricio Metzen-Rojas. As an indigenous Two-Spirit individual that immigrated to Canada, correction, I lived in the Yukon, I'm not from the Yukon. Immigrated to Canada 7 years ago. I actively practice and live in the traditional lifestyle of a sled dog musher. The healing practice of dog mushing is a key element of my mental health treatment. My sled dog team acts as my emotional support, and the dogs are my only way of feeling safe in the human world. If someone that was emotionally, sexually, and physically abused by people as a child and adult, lastly by Jason Shore, owner of MAC, I struggle with emotional regulation, suicidal ideation, severe anxiety. I'm diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. I suffer from complex PTSD. I have severe anxiety and I'm autistic. In short, I'm mentally disabled and part of a vulnerable minority, and the animals under my care, my family, I raised them from day one of their lives, with the exception of 4 dogs out of 15 who were rehomed to me. Together, the dogs and I have been living and training together for now 7 years, and they're all well-mannered, safe, and friendly. I have 2 independently requested support letters from mental health professionals to underline the dependency that I have to these dogs, one from psychiatrist here in Selkirk, Dr. Maharniak, and one from a psychotherapist, Anna Shanda, who has known me for years and is currently practicing in Yukon. Nevertheless, I hope everyone in this room has the capacity to fully understand dogs are domesticated predators. They have canines and they have a far less complex brain than we do. With that being said, unfortunately, their animalistic nature can sometimes be apparent when they are provoked, scared, or threatened. On March 6, 2025, Harry, please apologize if I do not know the last name, and now I know it, it's Bolton, was walking his beagle with Mac loose by my property. Mac, a dog that has threatened my dogs for weeks and months, almost daily, most recently with a second dog, creating more tension than ever before. I was about to sit in my hammock because I had seen Harry walk past my property with this dog, which was leashed. My dogs were all loose inside my big fenced-in area for the daily afternoon loose playtime when they had walked by. Once again, Mac was provoking the dogs, so they vocally answered back at Mac. I had installed a backgate in the fall for training purposes with a spring nail. A gap formed between the gate and the post. That is something I wasn't aware of until that day. Since this is the first time I've lived here, and this was the first spring for me here. While the gate was fully closed and latched, the eagerness and willingness of the dogs to leave the pen to confront Mac was too much force on the gate, with one wiggling by it open far enough for the pack to follow with the lead commands charged through. My dogs are a pack that follow when the alpha or higher ranked dogs make a decision. When one charges out, all we usually follow, especially if they are called in quotation marks to action by their leader. I immediately got up and ran up the trail, expecting what I had warned the owner of said dog back in September 2024, that if this dogs keep attacking my dogs, especially my alpha dog, he will provoke the pack one day, and I asked the owner back on the 20th of September 2024 to take action after his dog has attacked my dog 7 times in multiple occasions. Witness statements of these attacks have been submitted to Tyler. When I confronted the owner, he said, my dog is taught to defend himself, he doesn't need to stop a fight, he will win any fight, to which I said, that's not a safe dog. My dogs expect me to intervene when being attacked. They do not fight back if they know humans are there to protect them. I added, your dog is intelligent, you're allowing him to be like this because you're empathizing his kind of behavior by not reacting or boasting about it. Dogs can sense our intentions, and Mac knows that his owner glorifies violence and anger, a very strong emotion. After telling him that I would intervene next time his dog attacks my dog, he felt so offended by the truth of my words that Jason Shore physically attacked me. He threw me in the ditch by my property, pinned me down by my neck, telling me he will kill me. I did not fight back, and once he had removed himself, I called the RCMP for being physically assaulted and threatened to be killed. There's a police report about this, and there's a restraining order in place, which is why he cannot speak for himself here today. That in itself speaks more than 1,000 words. The police report can be requested if needed. The file number is 20241390906. In the following weeks and months, Mr. Shore walked his dog purposely by the yard, and that his dog, who always is loose, charged the fence, gaslighting, threatening the dogs, so let the dogs come to my truck, front door, property, growling at my dogs and me. I am afraid of this dog and the owner who owns illegal firearms and has physically attacked me. He has a restraining order and is not allowed to be near my property. I never reported the dog attacks or provocation to the bylaw because I'm petrified of the owner. He's a dangerous individual who actively breaks the law and boasts about it constantly. I am afraid of him. He did not just physically attack me, but also decided to out me a vulnerable person to the entire community, to the point where people come up to my house and ask for sexual intercourse if I was a prostitute, and threaten to kill me if I mentioned to anyone else that they came to my house. I'm afraid of the people in my community at this point. I have warned the owner of the dog because I was concerned for the dog's well-being. Since I could analyze that this dog would get himself into trouble or cause itself injury if he will ever be confronted by animals that respond to ferret animalistic behavior with the same behavior. That is nature at play, something that we humans can have control of if all parties are on the same page, something that Jason Shore was not willing to accept. Unfortunately, on that day when I arrived at the scene, the older dogs, 3 of which had been attacked by Mac before, had jumped him. This is their animalistic response. They were threatened, attacked, and provoked for months, and due to an accidental failure of the gate, emphasis on accident, which by definition means an unfortunate incident that happens unexpectedly and unintentionally, typically resulting in damage or injury according to the Oxford Dictionary, had the chance to do so. Harry and his dogs were about 250 meters down the trail, with none of my dogs around him. The majority of the dogs were loose, running, not involved in the fight. I stopped my dogs from revenging their own attacks and was trying to help Mac to get to a safe place, since his owner, as usual, was not around to take care of his dog. Mac did not wear a collar, so it was hard for me to walk him to his owner's house or my pen or house. Whenever I slipped my grip, I could only hold him by his neck skin. The dog who initially attacked him lodged at him again. Finally, I had him far enough, and his owner came to the scene to took him in his care. I immediately went to my ATV to gather dogs and bring all of them back in the yard. The majority of my female and young dogs were not involved in this at all. They all came back to my yard as soon as I used the ATV. They are trained to appear to go for a run when they hear the engine of my ATV start. Harry, who I had warned in the past, both about Jason's dangerous behavior as well as Max, went on a walk with Mac to my dogs. And Mac and his dogs were a team, especially since Mac had been walking with them in the past. Often when they went out to use the opportunity to get to Mac, they act on instinct. It was in their head, us against them. I have not seen them attack the beagle or the person. I can only attest to the scene around Mac. I would like to use this opportunity to apologize to Harry for the harm my dogs had caused him and his dog, since according to Tyler they had injured him, and also according to your statement, so I apologize that that had happened to you. I didn't have the opportunity to speak to you before. This is a scenario I have warned both Jason and Harry about. Unfortunately, Harry and his dog were third-party collateral that should have never happened. And I cannot stress enough how sad it makes me that you, Harry, had to witness this and also be a victim of dogs in animalistic ways. My dogs are not guard dogs or protective dogs, but they have a strong pack mentality. They do not defend me either. When I was attacked, they were confused, but the dog that was attacked 7 times by Mac was around that day and knew that his dog means danger and that the owner is dangerous to his owner. My dogs can sense my fear, so can dogs sense confidence or euphoria, for example. I had once talked to RCMP about the owner walking on purpose, despite the restraining order, and multiple people who lived with me since August can attest to that behavior. They all noticed this threatening behavior. A witness statement from Patrick Geipel, who lived with me and also have been provided to Tyler. RCMP said I should document it. He stopped doing this for maybe 2 weeks to go straight back to doing the same. I had told him in the past that this would happen, and I never wanted this to be a reality for obvious reasons. I feel terribly sorry for the harm the dogs caused in their frustration towards Mac, and even more towards the beagle, who was a victim of the provocation of Mac and his owner. My dogs are loose with me on the trail, and both parties have seen me drive with them free with no interaction at all when Mac is secured. Twice before the dog attacked my dog team while I was training. All of this caused additional tension between my dogs and Mac. Outside of this incident, I can attest to you with certainty that the dogs are not dangerous to humans or dogs in general. Board dogs and trained pet dogs are complete strangers, and set dogs are fully integrated into the kennel. They respect other dogs and are playful. I bring my dogs to the dog park and interact with pet dogs, who often lack dog social skills because they do not live with other dogs in order for them to understand different dogs' social behavior. I trained dogs for 15 years of my life and lived with them for 19. This kennel now is mostly fully raised by me since the day they were born, and they are safe, run loose, and have never had a problem with other dogs, or if they did, it never was brought to my attention. Last week I was training the dogs with some loose, and neighbor dogs were charging to the end of the driveway to see what we were doing. They did not interact at all. Instead, my dogs kept on trail and took my commands, to which my neighbor and friend later texted me and mentioned that that was super impressive and apologized for her dogs. A statement from her was also forwarded to Tyler. Dogs do what they do. They have other brains than we do. We have a frontal lobe, they do not. If their instincts tell them to act, well, there's no filter. I myself suffer from mental disabilities that make my amygdala, the emotional control center, fully disable my frontal lobe when triggered. When I say I understand dogs on a different level, then that is what I mean. I know their thought process. At the end of the day, they are domesticated predators. They're not cattle or deer. When they are triggered and they get the chance to act, they will. But this is when a human has to be in control. My gate construction failed. It is my responsibility to fix it, and I already closed the fence fully up so that there is no back gate anymore. These dogs are service dogs and therapy animals. They are extremely human-friendly and safe. If they bit, then because they were in the motion of fighting with the dog. I did not even see any of them being remotely interested in Harry either or the beagle. Tyler can attest to that himself. All dogs are well-mannered and friendly, easy to handle and cuddly. They are handled by strangers often and receive nothing but positive feedback. This dog kennel is my entire life's purpose. I built this up from one dog in 2018 until today. We competed in national and international competitions monitored by veterinarians, judges, veterinaries, and they traveled all over Canada and the US, and they never had a problem with other dogs until we moved here and encountered a dog that constantly attack the team's alpha. Besides that, I was planning to leave Manitoba anyway, since I do not feel safe here, and neither do I feel like the environment is the best for a young dog kennel, because being constantly around aggressive dogs will negatively impact their own interpretation of other dogs. The house is since March 9th up for sale, and I found a place to live up north where the community is safer for me and the dogs. This opportunity came up just a week ago, and I was talking to my realtor back then already. My mother is currently visiting due to my already fragile mental health that has worsened a lot to unrelated stresses, and the negative influence Jason shows short but in fact a mark left on my soul. My family and I are very concerned for my mental health. My mother is witnessing how I cannot sleep, rest, or eat without my emotional support animals around. I have been in extreme crisis and Thursday, self-harming to an extent in which my hand is nearly broken and my head is swollen. I feel sick, puking, and I'm very weak right now. I spent all of Saturday morning crying out for my animals and speaking to a crisis line. Then on Sunday, I spent most of the day at the ER in Selkirk, which Harry can actually attest to, since he was there with his partner only a few hours after I have been waiting there already. The immense stress and pain I'm suffering from while I'm emotionally support animals are not with me can also be attested by my church community, who has witnessed me weak and destroyed Sunday the 9th at the weekly church services, crying a lot and needing the support, which is why my pastor Ryan is here today to speak to my crisis situation, how immensely important it is that these dogs are with me. These animals are my only reason to be around. They are my healing medicine and create stability and emotional well-being. When humans are triggering me or my environment is causing me distress, they have to be in my care and my yard. My life depends on it. Thank you for your understanding.
Thank you very much for that, Nate. Any questions or comments for the presenter? Nothing at this point in time, so you can have a seat, and I'll just see if there's anyone else who wants to speak on your behalf or in support. Come forward and please state your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is Pastor Ryan Galashan. As Nate mentioned, he's been attending Selkirk Community Church, having an opportunity to get to know Nate and walk with him through unrelated stressful circumstances, looking to provide not just support but guidance and advice and just community. I know how much the sled dog pursuit has been such a huge part of Nate's desire to be involved in something that he's passionate about. But it goes beyond that. It's not just a hobby for him. The dogs are certainly, as we all have our own pets, like family. He lives on his own, and so the dogs certainly become just a critical piece to his mental wellness and a sense of just purpose and community. But I've got 2 dogs and 2 cats, and recently one dog realized one of my cats was eating his food and her food, and went after that cat. And it's unfortunate when animals become aggressive like that. But it was just the next day that they were sniffing each other again. And it's very unfortunate. But I'm here just to let you know that I have been involved in Nate's life to offer support, guidance, and counsel and welcome him into the community of the church there to just provide that kind of support. So just here to acknowledge that the dogs are quite important to Nate.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Did anyone else want to come forward to speak?
So, I'm Brad Heller, and actually was the previous owner, I guess my mother owned the house that Nate purchased and lives on. And Debbie knows when I was on council, I'm not a good speaker, right? So, anyway, bear with me. And so I didn't know anything about all about how Harry was attacked in that there too, but it's, you know, the dogs get carried away, I guess, but I was with the dogs and in them pens many times after Nate was been there, and geez, they just wanna lick you to death, like, that's the problem, you know, but, I didn't think there'd be any problem, but I guess when they get in a pack and get like that, there's gonna be a problem. As far as Mac, the other dog, well, apparently, and he is a lovable, great dog, but look at the breed of him and look at him. And I was over there cleaning up my mom's place yet, after she passed, before we were putting it for sale, to get it all cleaned up and get it out of there. And that dog came running at me and I almost pooped my pants, I guess I could say. And, you know, okay, then after, yeah, he's great, but how do you know that? And why is he running around loose? I mean, we've had dog wars in Levo in every small community back to, as long as I can remember, I grew up as a kid right across the tracks from there. Anyway, so, I mean, you guys are gonna have the tough thing to do this, but I really think that those dogs can be safe there with that pen picked up a little bit. Hopefully, for in Nate's case, that house sells really quick again, and it'll be gone. But to take these dogs away from him is, well, mentally and everything looks like a bad thing for him, really. But, yeah, so, I guess that's about all I got to say then, unless there's some questions. If anybody would ask about the property or anything. I know that property better than anyone, even Nate probably, or anyone, but, and his fencing is really good, but the gates are a little bit suspect, and I think if the dogs, or any amount of dogs are still there or come back there at any time, that would have to be addressed. Because I think about when I deal with cattle. Like when cattle can always get through a gate, and when you're working with them with one dog in and out or one cow in and out, it's good to have another pen where you know, it's like you see in a prison, where they go into one place and then to the next, so you got that extra little care thing. But just so they don't get loose and can affect their own safety and anyone else's or whatever, but taking them away from him totally, I don't think I really see that. But unless you have any questions, I'm done.
Any questions for Mr. Hellwood? Thank you for coming forward, Brad. Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Okay, and just so everybody knows, we do have the letters, I guess
What
there
is
are...
the receipt for nosotros? Sí, okay. This is my mom and she only speaks Spanish, but lucky
I'm gonna
for
try to do my best to translate her.
Okay,
Okay.
okay, yeah.
She doesn't speak Spanish.
English. She doesn't speak English.
And if you could just give us your mom's name for the record.
Janet.
please.
Janet Madsen.
Yeah. Her name is Jamet.
Yo estoy aquí, he venido a acompañar a mi hijo.
I am here in Canada because I need confining my son.
Y quiero decirles a todos vosotros, señores,
I want to say to everybody here,
los quiero respetar a todos vosotros.
I respect everybody.
Deseo
I wish,
y yo sé que la vida de mi hijo
and I know that my son's life
depende
is depending
de los perros,
on the dogs.
porque a toda la vida ha tenido ese hobby.
Because all his life, dogs are being his hobby.
Él es una persona correcta,
He is a
es una
very
persona que ha estudiado,
He's a very well prepared kid. He have studied all his life.
ya como madre,
As a mom,
deseo
I wish
de corazón
with all my heart
que los perros
that all dogs come
También.
back to his son.
Yo estoy aquí de visita.
Because I am just visiting him.
Yo vengo de Alemania.
I'm coming from Germany.
Estoy pasando momentos muy difíciles.
I'm passing a very hard time.
Mi hermana fue allá de Storbe.
Sorry.
Por allá mi esposo por años se murió. Su esposo murió.
Her husband died 1 year ago,
Y he venido a acompañarlo.
and I came to
Él está
be with him
sin empleo ahora.
because he's without employee. He's no employee, without job. He doesn't have job,
Sí, entonces está un poco preocupado por todo lo que
and he is concerned.
no, pero como madre no puedo hacer más. Solamente pedirle a vosotros
As a mom, I just want
que
to
la
ask
vida,
you
que la vida de mi hijo depende de los
that
perros.
his life depends on the dogs.
Porque él dice que si no le pega, te va a quitar la vida.
He says that if he doesn't have the dogs back, he is going to take his life,
Y él está jugando.
and he is not playing.
Y yo me duele con el alma, pues, tener que irme y que mi hijo no vuelva con vida.
I'm very hard going back to Germany and never see my son again.
Y yo no estoy jugando tampoco.
I am not playing.
Yo conozco a mi hijo.
I know him.
Mamá, la vida depende de los perros.
He says my life depends on the dogs.
Él tiene muchas personas que lo conocen aquí en Yukon, donde él trabajó.
He knows lots of people in Yukon where he worked before.
Hizo el deporte allá, pues, estuvo haciendo deporte con los perros.
He was in competitions in Yukon for Canada with the dogs.
Tiene fotos, tiene los premios, es una persona buena que tuve problemas con los perros.
He is a correct person, he just have that problem with the dogs. And it's unfortunate.
El Señor te dice que no sé quién, no tú le ya
I don't know anybody here.
un vecino de ella que en septiembre la atacó,
One neighbor,
no lo
vecino
conozco,
de quién?
de ella, de mi hijo.
One neighbor attacked him in September.
Yo no lo conozco,
I don't know him.
no sé de nombre,
I don't know his name.
creo que está en esta foto, yo no sé.
She thinks that he is
Eh,
the man that is in the
y
camera.
yo llevo 10 días aquí, he visto siempre
I am here 10 years ago,
3 veces que pasa un señor con unos perros sueltos,
and 3 times she has been she has seen a man walking his dogs
lo he visto aquí cerca de mi hija, los perros, y los perros
and walking very near to the fence of his son.
no sé cuál señor es.
I don't know
Los perros atacan, siempre van a la piña a los perros de mi hija, que están
Okay.
amarrados.
He was near to the fence and put the dogs in the fence to attack the dogs.
Siempre van allá y ladran allí.
And barking to the dogs
No sé,
being in the fence.
no sé quién es el
This
señor.
means
She
orders on
doesn't
a
know
public
who is that.
walkway.
No sé quién es el señor. De repente pasa por ahí.
She doesn't know the name.
Los perros de mi hija están siempre en el cerco.
The dogs are always in the fence, never they are out.
Ese día que pasó,
That day, what happened,
nosotros
Hey, buddy.
hicimos deporte con los perros
we practiced sport with the dogs,
y llegamos y nos metimos al cerco.
and they came back and put it in the fence again.
Ya. Mi hijo lo dejó un poco libre para que caminaran ahí, pero encerrados.
Neil put the dogs into the fence, but they were free into the fence.
Ya. Yo me fui del almuerzo,
She went inside to make the lunch,
después escucho y miro que los perros han salido.
and after that,
No viene más.
she saw the dogs, all of them out, but she didn't see anything.
Eso es lo que dice, eso es lo que digo. No sé qué puede ser de familia.
hopes that her statement can help her son.
Yo no quiero volver
I don't want to come
a
back
Canadá
to Canada
a rescatar el cadáver de mi hijo.
to pick up his body.
Todo es de ella, es lo que digo. Todo depende de ella aquí.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Councillor Spicer.
Actually, I have a question for bylaw. So, this is a very unfortunate incident, but I think we have to look at what the bylaw allows and doesn't allow. So, from what I've heard, Mr. Bolton had his dog on a leash. Mr. Shore's dog was not on a leash. And sometimes it sounds like Mr. Metz's dogs are along the trail unleashed. So I guess I'd like your interpretation of what caring control means, because in our bylaw it talks about dogs running at large.
Correct.
And it talks about how owners need to be in care and control of their dogs at all times when they are off their property.
Correct.
So, from what I'm hearing here is we have possibly 2 out of the 3 owners here that aren't necessarily following the bylaw. Would you characterize that as being correct? I just want to know what your thoughts are.
I would just state our bylaw doesn't use the word leash when we're talking about care and control. And it reflects quote unquote at large. So if there's a resident out with a dog and their dog is not with them in care and control, then at large basically means that they're not in control, right? You might be walking your dog, and my opinion of care and control would be to have that dog pretty close to you, within an arm's length, because they're under your care and control. If I'm walking my dog and she's across the road, sniffing the across the road mailbox, not really in care and control, because you don't know what's coming in that property. Or if your dog is 50 yards up for you, or 50 yards back or on its own, that's not care and control. So I would agree that based on what Nate and Mr. Shore is saying, or when the dogs are not with them, or maybe even off the trail, it might not be, or on the trail running, it might not be quote unquote in care and control. The fact that Mr. Shore's dog was not with him and with Mr. Bolton off a leash, in my opinion, would also not be in care and control. So that's the way I do interpret that.
So, Mr. Bolton, this is a public hearing, so what you do is you address the chair.
Okay.
And if you want to speak, and the chair will determine if you're allowed to speak.
Just, okay.
So if you'd ask the chair.
Okay, could I ask just one other?
Go ahead.
I would never walk Mac alone, but he's friends with the little beagle, and his distance is from me to you is it, and I could call him back, because he likes the little beagle. And he just stays by my little beagle when we walk, and he won't leave. And the little beagle with me until all that happened, that's when he left. But he was within me, he follows my beagle. We make a point to see each other, and they just like sniff each other, and they're friendly together. That's all.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to, oh, go ahead.
I know Mac very well. Mac is not a vicious dog at all. There's no way that he would attack anybody or anything. I mean, my dogs and him, we go down that trail. You know, when you tell them to come, they come. They're playing, they're running. I got a half mix of a Ronnie and something else, and he has met that dog. You know, and there's absolutely no nothing to be feared from Mac. I mean, everyone loves Mac. Mac stays in his yard when he's in his yard. A walk, you know, that's a treat. You know, we always have leashes and everything with us, so coming off that trail, there's no way Mac would attack anybody or anything. I've taken him to Canadian Tire with me. He's got no problem.
Okay, thank you for that. I'm going to turn it over to our CAO. I think he has a couple of comments that he would like to make.
Yes, can I have Tyler, can you come to the front? So I'm going to ask several questions to make sure that it's clear as to what the process is and what we're going through there. So that independent decision that council has to make. So whenever there's an attack of a dog with any other animal, whether it's livestock, other pets, or anything, what's our normal process? We would normally impound the dog, verify that there's no issues associated with the dogs or dogs that may have caused because of the bite, if there was an attack, as well as council has to make a determination that is there a possibility of a situation like this occurring again, and if it is, then the dogs are declared dangerous.
Correct.
So if a dog is declared dangerous,
Yes.
what are the options available in the bylaw?
If a dog is determined as dangerous, council can put a wide variety of conditions on a property owner, that being different fences, on leash all times. They can do a wide variety of things. It lists a bunch of things. It then goes to if we deem an animal, if it's also been involved with killing another animal, they can be exceptionally dangerous, which again, council has the ultimate decision to put conditions or to euthanize a dog. So it's based on the event and what council sees. Even to back it up, when there is an event such as a bite or something along those lines, council also can, as per the bylaw, return the animals if they believe them not to be dangerous or exceptionally dangerous, and also still put in a bunch of conditions if they so choose, such as different fencing or, you know, whatever council thinks is appropriate for the situation.
So if council determines that the possibility of something like this can occur again in the future,
Yeah.
they can make other requirements on the property owner as part of this.
Correct.
So that can be anything from removing those animals
Yeah.
from the RM altogether. Has that been discussed at all with the property owner and the owner of the animals?
Yes, so that specific scenario, I did speak with Nate about it, because again, part of my job for the last 5 or 6 days since this happened was to keep constant communication with Nate. I also, like I mentioned, I spoke with Jason on Saturday night, I spoke with Harry and his wife a couple of times as well, I met with Harry on Friday. But due to the severity of the incident and the health-related issues, I felt it was necessary to maintain conversation and dialogue with Nate over the last 4 or 5 days. With that, I did my best to explain to him basically what Deepak just said. There are things that council can implement in this scenario, and it could be a wide variety of scenarios. One of them that I did discuss with Nate, that again, as you can hear today and from Nate doesn't want to look at that. He does want the dogs back, as per Nate, but I did try to explain to him that one of the conditions might be, as Deepak mentioned, that the dogs be relocated. So that was something that I did discuss with Nate. Ultimately, Nate did provide me with a contact from the Yukon that would be willing to take these dogs. And I know Nate also mentioned he might be moving back there, but that is a possibility. How that truly pans out, we can see, but Nate is aware that that is an option. And I spoke with the people from the Yukon, and they did confirm that they would take the dogs.
So, in those situations, council can impose conditions and so forth, and time limits and so forth.
Correct.
My last, or maybe not my last question, my next question is the RM set up for housing this many animals for any extended period of time?
Not for a long extended period of time, and this is a challenge that we'll see across Manitoba. When we go local municipalities, unless they have a designated shelter, they're kind of challenged to hold dogs. 1 or 2 is not the end of the world. People usually have some short-term kennels set up, but when we're looking at 5, 10, 12 dogs, it's a big challenge. I have reached out to a lot of rescues around as well as the Humane Society, and there is no resources to hold these types of dogs. It's a very challenging scenario. So right now they are being housed and they're safe and happy, but it's not a long-term scenario.
Okay, and so if and when council, it depends on the council's decision, if they declare dogs dangerous and they say they're no longer allowed to be in the RM, what is the other option? Is euthanization the next option then?
Correct. If council determines
You
the
can
dog.
euthanize me too then, I'm honest.
Kidding? Excuse me.
That's mental health.
I appreciate that you're concerned and I'm
I'm
trying
more concerned about myself.
to make sure that you're aware of all the options, and then when council makes a decision that they can work to make a proper solution for everyone.
Euthanize me.
But this is not a debate, okay? I'm sorry, but the situation has turned into a situation where you have given up some certain level of control, and that's what happens in these kinds of scenarios. And so what we're trying to do is find a proper way. So that behavior will just negate your ability to participate in this process. So I'm just giving you that as a warning. So with that, the goal is not to do that unless the dog is considered very dangerous. And usually when there's death to another animal
or constant aggressive behavior, if we're seeing this, then yes, council can deem it dangerously, exceptionally dangerous or dangerous, and like Deepak said, euthanization is technically an option, but the other option council does have is relocation. And then there's also option the council has is to return the dog and put conditions in. So there are a wide variety of scenarios here, but there's nothing set in stone, it is up to council.
Thank you. And so the last point is, when council makes this decision, is there an appeal mechanism?
No. When council makes its decision as per the bylaw, there is no appeal in this decision is final.
And so the way that the bylaw is written as animal control bylaw, that's like a legal process, and as part of that, a public hearing is held. Public hearing is that everyone gets an opportunity to speak, at which point the council takes that into consideration, deliberates, and then makes their final decision as a council for the representation for the community.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. So, Madam Mayor, you may want to give option for anyone to have any last words and decide what you want to do next.
Yeah, before I speak to council, I'm just going to give everybody in the gallery an opportunity, if you have any last words that you would like to say before we close the hearing. And I think council is going to need some time to look at all the facts, discuss what we've heard today, and try and find the best solution for everybody. We will make a decision. As far as I can feel, that we will be making a decision before the end of the day today, but it won't be right at this moment because we've heard a lot of information here today, and I think there's a lot of factors that council has to consider when they're making their decision. So I will give everybody that's in the gallery an opportunity. If you have any final comments that you would like to bring forward, now would be the time to do it. Okay, I'm going to start.
Just before
you
give the last point, when council makes their decision, that'll be provided in writing to all parties involved. Okay, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, I think I'm going to start with Mr. Bolton, and then I'll come over to this side to Ryan and to yourself, Nate. Go ahead, Mr. Bolton.
I agree, he with his dogs, because I know how I feel about mine, but I don't think he can guarantee that those dogs will not get out again, because he frequently lets a few of them run. I see them run through my yard, the other yards around, and if you let them there, and it comes back to this and those dogs attack someone else, it'll come back to you. You let them out by having them, dogs return there. Because he can't guarantee the gate. Our neighbor's seen some of the dogs jump over the fence. And if that happens again and there's kids involved, that's finished. It'll hit the papers or something. And that'll be the end. So that's all I have to say. Consider that if this ever happens again, it comes back with the same bunch of dogs. I've seen what they could do. They were frenzied, biting. Why would they bite me? I was just trying to pick my dog up and it grabbed me and I got something with my tendon in my hand, bleeding, hospital. That should never happen. I don't want to see it happen to anybody else or some kid. Or another dog get killed. The dogs almost died. The vets even said back was the dog. They came, I took him in yesterday. The vet had come in, take it, this lady by herself. She sees a baby. Comes, I says, I need help. I had two of them in my car. I says, I need help. She goes, oh, I'll take Max, she says. And she took him in and I took my Beagle. There's nothing wrong with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
thank you
all I
for
have to
that.
say.
Thank you for that,
Consider
Mr.
that.
Bolton. Ryan, did you want to speak next?
Yeah, I mentioned the interaction that my dog, who's a rescue dog, had with one of our cats, and my daughter's is unfortunate witnessed this moment of tension and attack on the cat, and I know it's not exactly the same, but I sort of understand having to weigh mitigating the risk of it happening again. We have to sort of look at, well, what actually happened and why did that happen and how can we prevent it from happening again. And so even my daughters understand, unfortunate that one of our cats was attacked by one of our dogs over some food and whatever they thought about each other in that moment. But we took steps to make sure it wasn't going to happen again and separate food, and this one eats over here and the gate's closed, and so I can appreciate that is sort of part of the process of assessing, will this happen, and again, can we prevent it from happening, and I think there's lots of ways it can be prevented from happening again.
Thank you for that.
I would like to speak at the end as well, Jason.
I'm going to let you speak before Nate speaks. Jason, I apologize. I should have let you speak after Mr. Bolton, but go ahead now, and then I will let Nate speak.
Okay, well, considering what Nate has said, I walked past that house. I've walked my dog down that trail for years. It's a public trail. It borders right on the property. It comes right up to the property, and it's a public trail. And every time I go past those dogs, every single one of them is barking and snapping. Every time. I don't really pay much mind to it because I don't have a whole lot of fear. But, I'm not the only one that walks down that trail. It's Main Street and marked trail. It's a very public area, and it's just the fact that Mark barks back at 20 dogs barking at him. That's pretty normal. But he doesn't approach the fence. These dogs often do. They jumped the fence at me before, twice that I can remember. Once with a friend beside me, and all I did was just beat him back. I don't have a whole lot of fear, but apparently when the whole pack gets loose, which apparently can happen, even being a 90-pound dog won't save you. There are children right across the street that weigh less than this. What do you think is going to happen to them? he says he has all kinds of mental issues. Mac is my support animal. What am I supposed to do?
We have a psychiatrist statement. Is that-
Maybe he's not seeing things very clearly. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you for that. Nate, I'm gonna let you speak.
Okay, since we're not talking about other statements, I'm just gonna read them out here.
Whose statement are you
The
reading?
statements from Mac attacking my dogs.
From Mac attacking
Yes.
your dogs?
Exactly. The statement is from Tanami Capelli, who has submitted that. To whom it may concerns, I'm writing this letter in support of my friend Nate and his dogs. My husband Brindley and I have known Nate for several months, having worked with him and his dogs. When we first came to Canada, we can personally vouch for Nate's dedication to his dogs and his responsible approach to dog netting. Nate has a large property which is suitable for his pack of dogs, and they are extremely well behaved and friendly. We have spent ample time with Nate's dogs and have always observed them to be gentle and well cared for. We have witnessed firsthand the positive relationship Nate has with his dogs, and it is clear to us that they're not only a vital part of his life, but they're treated with utmost care and respect. It is with my understanding that I feel compelled to speak out on behalf of Nate regarding the recent situation where his dogs were taken from him. From our perspective, the incident was caused by a reoccurring issue with his neighbor dog Mac. Mac has a history of aggression, and I personally find Mac's behavior to be intimidating. There have been several instances where Mac has started fights with other dogs, including Nate's. We have seen Mac snap at other individuals, including Tony and Sean, on multiple occasions. It is not uncommon for Mac to provoke confrontation with dogs that are simply going about their business. In recent incident, Mac again approached one of Nate's dogs, and his pack of dogs in protective response defend themselves. It's important to note that Nate's dogs were merely responding to Mac's aggression, and this is not an isolated event. We do not believe that Nate's dogs should be punished for reacting in defense of themselves. It is believed that Nate's dogs should be returned to him as they are well cared for, friendly, and pose no threat to the community. I ask that you take this information into account and to consider the circumstances surrounding the incident. We hope for a fair resolution so that Nate and his dogs can be reunited. So this is Tanami Capelli that lived for me in the summer, and so I have a second statement that has not been provided.
Excuse me, yeah.
First, can you first identify who Tony and Sean are?
Capelli.
Who is
Tony
and
is
Sean?
Tony is one of my dogs, and Sean is one of my dogs.
So they're not individuals.
Well, that's what, like that's, yeah, she
The
wrote it
comment
like
says
that.
other individuals.
Yeah, she wrote it like that,
Yes,
yeah,
okay,
they're
I just want that clarity, that's all.
Okay, yeah, they're two of my dogs. They're right
Okay,
back
so
there.
so the letter that you just read is from who?
Capelli, you have that letter.
Okay, we have those letters.
Yeah,
I
and then
don't
there's one that
know.
you don't have yet.
Okay, if we don't have it, I will let you read it, but if we do have it, we
We don't
have
have
it
it.
on our dockets for
Okay.
today.
This is from Catherine, who is running the daycare out, running a daycare out, and she says, to whom it may concern, good afternoon, as a resident of Lebo MD. It has to come to my attention that there has been an issue regarding the dog sled team living in Lebo under the care of Nate. I would like to share a couple encounters with you. First of all, this summer, my family, including 2 children, got the chance to spend some one-on-one time with the dog run with the team. All the dogs were very friendly and healthy, happy, and at no point showed any aggressive behaviors to us or other dogs. It was a very nice visit, and we were surprised how well mannered the team was. Second, I would like to say that when Nate was new to the area, he came to our farm property looking for permission to use land. Nate came with the sled team unaware that we had 4 livestock guardian dogs, chickens, sheep, and various other animals in the yard. All the dogs were respectful, there was 0 aggressive behavior, and all was good. Third, I would like to say is Nate runs his dogs almost every day past our property. This dog has always been in control, never veering off the path, and always being respectful to other animals. In conclusion, I would like to say that the dog sled team has always been well-rounded, cared for, not aggressive, and has shown no reason to worry. At no point have they displayed dangerous behaviors to my children or dogs. And lastly, my own words. This dog, so I've been with dogs for 19 years of my life, and I don't feel safe with humans. I would take any dog, I would take any of my dogs any day over any human that sits in this room, and I'm quite honest about this. I wouldn't want to be part of this life, but I've suffered from this since I was 10, and the dogs are my animal support, and they were provoked for months and weeks now by the same dog, and I have warned Jason Schroe that this might happen if the dog keeps threatening the dogs. And so this was an accident, which I had already said in my statement, and my gate is already gone, and the fence is, it's double fenced now, like I completely fenced it in. And these dogs are connected, like, when I say I'm indigenous two-spirit, that I mean that I have a spiritual connection to these dogs, and an emotional connection is very important. And you have, I don't know if you have them, do you have the two psychiatry reports?
No, you can bring those up, we don't.
Okay, well then I read them all too. Here, so,
And whatever you're going to read right now, if we don't have copies of them along with the one that you have written there, if you could please provide those to Tyler so we have
I
a
already
complete file.
okay, all of these are forwarded to Tyler, they just didn't make it until.
Okay.
Okay. So you, okay, so this is a statement from Anna Shunda, who's a psychotherapist. To whom it may concern, I'm writing this letter. My capacity as a registered psychotherapist, a friend of 4 years, of strongly recommend Nate Stocks to be returned to him as support of his mental health. It is my professional opinion, as well as my opinion as a friend, and not having access to his dogs, especially Tony, is detrimental to his well-being. Nate has been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, severe anxiety, and he is on the autism spectrum, all of which significantly impacts his life. A core component of managing these conditions include reducing the risk of suicidality, maintaining emotional stability, and fostering a structured routine, all of which are critically supported by his sled dog team. These animals provide not only companionship, but also necessary foundation for emotional regulation, motivation, and structured daily activity, which are crucial in mitigating severe mental health symptoms. Scientific and clinical research has shown that the presence of animals, particularly in structured and interactive environments such as his sled dog team, provide therapeutic relief, reduce distress, and promote resilience in individuals experience chronic mental health challenges. The routine of caring for and working with these animals serves as a stabilizing force, encouraging responsibility, social engagement, and a deep sense of purpose, all of which are vital in preventing emotional deterioration. Under the Fair Housing Act, FHA, and the Air Carrier Access Act, ACAA, emotional support animals are recognized as necessary accommodation for individuals with mental health disabilities. I strongly advocate for Nate to have access to his dogs as they play a role of emotional support animals to him. Should you require any further documentation or clarification regarding this matter, please do not hesitate to contact me at 867-869-2800 or annashunda@gmail.com. Sincerely, Anna Shunda. And then, pass me this one. This is from Dr. Navarnia, who is self-serve operating. To whom it may concern, this is a letter written in regard to Mr. Metzner and myself for a one-time psychiatric evaluation on November 25, 2024. Please note that I do not conduct formal assessment to determine the need for emotional support animals, nor do I typically complete letters or forms in my work as a consultant. However, given the unusual circumstances surrounding Mr. Metzner's current situation, I'm providing this letter with limited information. During our assessment, Mr. Metzner spoke at length about his dogs, describing a strong connection with the team. He emphasized that they provide him with a sense of meaning and purpose in life. While I do not conduct a formal assessment regarding his need for an emotional support, the statement suggests that his dogs play a significant role in the overall well-being. Research indicates that companion animals can be beneficial for individuals experiencing mental health challenges. The companionship and emotional support they provide can contribute to reduced stress and anxiety. The presence of an animal can be calming and help lower stress hormones, decrease feelings of loneliness and isolation. Animals offer companionship and foster a sense of connection, increase physical activity routine. Caring for an animal can encourage physical activity and provide structure. Improved emotional regulation, animals can be a source of comfort and emotional grounding during distress. Sincerely, Bruce Naharnia.
Okay, thank you for that. And as I said, if Tyler doesn't have those, you can just provide
has
him
all
with
of
a
them.
copy, so, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I do have some questions, and I'm wondering if council has any questions. I do have a couple.
Could I ask one more, Madam Mayor? or-
Yes, you can.
Before
Go
we
ahead,
do it?
Mr. Helwer.
Okay, so it's, this is more, maybe what you guys would like to know too, and I don't even know, is, well, Jason and Harry has said that they've seen the dogs come over the fence. And I want to know, have they come over the 6-foot fence, or have they come over the smaller fence and the gates over? Jason, yeah,
They've come over the 6-foot fence,
they've
through the
come,
gates,
they've come over that whole page 6-foot fence?
Yep.
Okay. Kind of amazing, but, so that's.
No, it's not.
No? Okay.
The race dogs.
Yeah, okay, so, anyways, I just wanted to ask that, get that question clear and then
Right.
for your benefit too.
Yeah, and I was gonna,
And-
actually, I was gonna ask a question about the fence too, so
Right.
that's answered part of it, so.
Yeah, so, and the gates, of course, are lower, so
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
I've said to Nate before that maybe should be higher, but, and then another thing I was gonna ask is, this may be more of a question for Nate, that, because I know he had these dogs in another kennel before he moved out there, and would there be a place, if you couldn't bring them home, let's say, that they could go, that you could access
Well,
them?
like, they will either come to my house or they will go to the Yukon.
Yeah, but that's not gonna happen within a few days.
Well, like, I can drive them there.
Yeah, so, whatever, let's just clarify that part too. then.
Right, yeah,
So
no,
if
those
we
are
were
some of
to
the questions I
back
think
to
that
him.
council probably would be asking too, so. I'm going to not close the hearing, but I'm gonna give council the opportunity to ask any questions that they might have at this point in
Yeah.
time. Thanks, Brad. Any questions? No? Okay, I do have.
Go ahead, sorry.
I do have one question, Nate. This is to do with the fencing again. How tall is the fence that you presently have?
I think it's 6 foot.
6 foot?
Yeah, pretty sure that's a 6-foot hard page, square like this.
So the
Okay.
person that set it up with me was a cattle farmer and he made it cattle safe and so the dogs can't go through it, so,
Okay.
yeah.
And we have heard some talk here about the dogs being relocated to the Yukon, and you may be relocating there also.
Yeah,
Like, what is
that's
the
very
time?
likely.
What is the time frame that you're kind of looking at? Like, do you think that this can all be accomplished in a couple of weeks, or is it gonna be 6 months or 3 months, or?
So the house is already for sale and the first person coming is on Thursday.
Okay,
And the place I can move to is ready end of May, but I can probably move to my friend's place earlier. So like, it's pretty much a month or so.
okay, and then if you had to stay with your friend for a period of time, where would the dogs be?
With my friend,
They would be with you at your friend's?
yes.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland, I think you had your hand up.
Yes, and where does his friend live, in the municipality?
No, in the
No,
Yukon.
in the Yukon.
Oh, I thought temporarily before you, okay, it's just the Yukon we're talking about, not
Yeah.
moving the dogs temporarily to the, okay,
Yeah,
Thank
so what we're asking then, and I think I've got it right, is that you don't plan on staying here with the dogs. If you can go back to the Yukon with the dogs, that would be what you want to do, rather than move from your house to another house in the area and then to the Yukon.
I do not want to be in the neighborhood with Jason Shore.
Okay.
Yeah,
Deepak?
Feelings mutual.
yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, that's not needed here today.
There's no debates back and forth. So we're gonna be, I'll be asking some questions, and this is not a debate, this is a public hearing. Okay, so my first question is, you're aware, I'm sure that the bylaw officers, as well as Tyler, have explained to you that the bylaw, there may be charges associated with
Yeah, I'm aware.
with the costs associated with the veterinary bills and
I
with the
already-
housing of the animals.
Yeah, I already offered that. That was the first thing. So, what Jason was saying earlier, that I couldn't even talk to him, that he has a restraining, like I have a restraining order and I don't want to talk to him, otherwise I would have offered him my own medications that I have for my dogs. Secondly, when my dogs were attacked, they were also being injured by Mac. I don't go to the vet, why? Because I have a relationship with my vet and I have antibiotics, Metacam, septic, all of that for me at home. I treat my dogs for wounds myself, so there's never been a vet report of my dog being attacked, so yeah, like, yeah.
Now that you brought up your vet, which vet is that?
Dr. Braden,
Dr. Graydon?
yeah, she
I know-
works,
I know
you know
Dr.
her, she's
Braden.
awesome, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so next question, because I'll verify that. Next question is, you brought up a psychiatrist report.
Two, yeah.
Yes, I'm talking about the first one at this moment. The first psychiatrist report that you brought up that said that you're declaring this as safe, as therapy animals. Are you declaring all 12 as your therapy animals?
I declare well, like, I would pretty much, Tony's my emotional support dog. Who's with you right now, he sleeps with me, he usually secures me. But the entire team is basically my support, yeah. I don't say, like, until I came to Canada, I was suicidal pretty much my entire life, until I found this. For me, this gives me the structure, and you can ask anyone that knows me that these dogs are my emotional support, yes.
I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand, but I appreciate I hope you can appreciate requesting council to declare 12 animals or
You don't have to
15.
declare it.
That's why I'm asking the question, so if you let me finish, then you can answer. That's why I'm asking the question. You've got how many animals?
I have 15 in total.
15 in total, 12 are the ones that were involved, those are the ones that were taken. So you have 3 existing in
Yeah, they
your house
didn't
right
take
now.
them. I don't know what the reasons were that they didn't take them, but they didn't take them.
Because they weren't involved in the incident. From my understanding is, Tyler and the bylaw officers came and met with you, and they said which animals were involved in the incident. There were 11 in the yard, and you said they
Yeah,
were,
the outside
and you
ones,
pointed
yeah.
out one more inside the house. And so because of your truthfulness, they took the 12 that were involved in the incident. They didn't take the 3 because they weren't involved in the incident.
Yeah, okay.
But I want to make it clear, you have 15 animals.
Exactly.
And out of those 12 that were taken, you're saying all 15 are considered as part of your therapy. Are you requesting for any specific animals out of that 12? Or are you saying all 12 are therapy? Because I hope you can
Yeah.
appreciate what I'm trying to get at here.
No, I know, but you guys don't make a decision like on if they are emotional support animals. That's just
No, we don't.
no, that's exactly yeah.
But neither do, none of those are registered emotional support animals.
In Canada, there's no law for that. In the United States, there is, and these 2 psychiatrist statements that I just provided with you, declaring Tony as my emotional support animal, and the other ones pretty much in
Okay, so I'm asking, see, you're dancing around the question.
I'm not dancing around it.
Yes, you are, because you said Tony is my support animal, and that's what I heard. The doctor specifically said, specifically Tony, and then the others are additional support.
Exactly.
Now, you need to be very clear as to what you're requesting of council, because once this public hearing is over, only the information that's been presented here will be taken into consideration.
But you have both statements, and then both statements assess the entire Slapdog team is important. Exactly.
Okay, then council will make a decision, and if council makes a decision that they will not recognize that, what is your ultimate solution then?
My solution? What do you mean?
If you're requesting for an animal that's been identified as support. So what I'm trying to give you an opportunity is to identify what are the other options. I think Tyler's explained to you what all the options are available. What you have is an opportunity to present to council. If council decides, what are the livable aspects of that? Maybe Tyler could explain this a little bit further.
So, based on conversations with Nate, it's obviously very, very, very clear that the 12 dogs that were removed, along with the 3 of them home, are extremely important to Nate. That's clear as day. One thing that Nate expressed to me many, many times was how they all are very important, but Tony, with the curly tail, is the one. I don't want to make Tony not as important as the rest, but Tony was, quote unquote, that dog to me. Quote, that was.
Yeah, he acts kind of on my emotion. Like all of them act like that. I have all of the dogs have the same. All of the dogs will act the way Tony acts. They're just not all with me all the time because they're not inside. But when I dysregulate, Tony will come up to me, lay down on me, and calm me down. And so all the younger dogs, they are doing that too. It's just they live outside, so they're not inside the house to act on that. Do you understand what I mean?
I do
They
understand
all
what you mean.
they all will act the same way. They are with me in the house, but they're not all live with me in the house. They're outdoor dogs. But Tony lives with me in the house, and he has been with me almost every single day of my life at this point.
Okay, thank you for explaining that.
That's what I mean with.
That's what I wanted is clarity, okay, just.
Yeah, all of them
okay.
can act that way, but they don't all live with me. Like, they don't all sleep in my bed, or like, they don't all, like, Tony comes with me to work too. Like, they don't, not all of them do that, obviously, but they could all act as him.
Okay.
Yeah,
Last-
thank you, yeah.
Another point. You've multiple occasions on your presentation today, you identified that you gave Mr. Shore advice that this could be an incident that could happen.
Yeah, I
Okay, just let me finish.
yeah.
Which means you were aware that this incident could happen.
Yes,
So-
I warned
so-
them about,
So would you consider, as the owner of multiple dogs with a kennel license, so you're now occupying it as a professional, correct?
yes,
As a professional, then you have a responsibility at a higher level to make sure that your pack of dogs are in a secure place.
yeah.
That didn't occur, correct?
Yeah, like they let.
Okay, so-
Yeah,
So the latch and the fence were not secure enough, and yet you were aware that that could be an incident that can happen.
yeah, I warned them about it because it's.
I understand you warned them about it.
Yeah.
Where do you feel is your responsibility in that?
To make sure that the setup is better.
Correct,
Yeah, and I already fixed it all up.
after the fact.
Yeah, I have pictures. of
I
that.
understand that. This is after the dogs have already escaped.
Yes, yeah.
But you were aware of the issue at the beginning,
Well, like,
beforehand, that this could happen. I'm just making sure that you understand
I
that.
understand what you're
Good,
saying, yeah.
thank you.
I speak 3 languages and I still understand what you're saying.
I speak 2.5,
Okay, that's awesome.
and 1.5 is the English.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is, I warned them because my dogs never had interactions with other dogs that were aggressive towards them, so they don't need to, I don't need to worry about it, but I warned him specifically because his dog showed aggression to my dogs, and three different of my dogs were on different occasions attacked by this dog, so I warned him specifically him, not anyone else, like him with his dog, because when one dog will constantly do that, and multiple dogs in the pack are already a victim to this dog, then if this for whatever reason could ever happen, it just makes it more likely. I'm not saying that I wanted this to happen, or it's just a possibility. That's what, do you understand what I say?
I do understand what you're
This is
saying.
just a-
I'm not arguing the point that you wanted it to happen. What I'm telling you
Yeah,
is
no,
that
I
thank you
agree.
for making me understand dog behavior, all that, but the bottom line is, there's a responsibility. And I want this to be really clear with you. The responsibility at a professional level, owning multiple dogs over single dogs, is a different level of responsibility. Would you agree?
Yeah,
Okay, and that's why we're here today. And that's why some things have gone beyond control that need to be addressed, that council will be deciding on. So I just want to make sure all that was clear.
no, I'm aware of that, and I took accountability of what happened already. I said it was my faulty gate, and I said I really took care of it, and I warned purposely because I didn't want this to happen. That's why I mentioned
Understood.
this. But when I was warning, I was attacked for that, so,
Understood that too.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to ask council once again if there are any questions for the owner or for Tyler. I think we've heard a lot of information here today, and as I said earlier, we will be making a decision before the end of the day today. I don't believe we'll be making a decision right at this moment because we've heard a lot of information. And I think we have to have a conversation to make sure that we are all understanding what has transpired and what we need to do that is best for all those involved. I hope everybody does understand that. It's not a decision that I feel that we can make just at the snap of a finger. So with that, if council has no questions, I am going to ask for a resolution to close the public hearing. And I will let you know that as soon as our decision is made, Tyler will know, and he will relay that to yourself and to whoever else you feel that it needs to go to at that point in time. Okay, so if I could have that resolution, please.
Resolved that the public hearing for animal control be closed and the regular meeting be initiated.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Spicer, second Councillor Strang. Discussion, question, all in favor, opposed, and that is carried. Okay, I would like to thank everyone very much for being here today and helping us to understand what has transpired and where we have to go. And I think at this point in time, do we want to go in camera and then we can have our lunch and there are certain items that we still need to discuss in camera.
Resolved that council recess the regular meeting and go into in-camera to discuss legal and personnel issues, and further be a resolve that all matters discussed are to remain confidential after section 83(1)(b) of the Municipal Act.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sutherland, Councillor Strang, seconds, all in favor?